Hi, I'm Marianne Settembrino. I'm a nationally certified acupuncturist, and I'm here to share with you some of the frequently asked questions that I get as an acupuncturist. So, the number one question I get is, what is it? So, acupuncture is an ancient form of medicine. It originated in China over 3,000 years ago. And back in those days, a physician was considered a national treasure. So very often in times of warfare, the physician was hidden to be kept safe. The other main difference was that the physicians got paid every month, and they were required to look after a certain number of families in their community, and that if any member of that family were to become ill, then the physician did not get paid that month, and the physician had to replace that family member's contribution. So if that family member was in charge of tending to the cows, the physician had to tend to the cows until that family member was well enough to return to that job. So kind of the exact opposite of what we tend to do today. The other question that I get is about the how does it work piece of it. So we have had empirical, anecdotal evidence. Basically, we have seen the results of what acupuncture can do before we had the technology. So in about 2000, a study was done at a college in Boston using a piece of technology called a functional MRI. And a very benign acupuncture point was chosen. And the people in the study were varied. Every single age group, demographic, every single state of health. And there was a control scan done of their brain, and then an acupuncture needle was placed into this benign point. And in everyone, the same point of the brain lit up in every person, no matter what the differences were from person to person. So that gave something, proof to something that those of us in the profession have always known, is that we are using acupuncture points and acupuncture techniques to influence the brain. So the other question that I get very often is, does it hurt? I wanted to share something with you. Being brought up in a Western culture, an awareness that I had that our relationship with needles usually starts as a child with our pediatrician. And it's usually very unpleasant memories that we have around that. And in our medicine, our Western medicine, we have two reasons that we'll use a needle in Western medicine. One of them is to put something into the body. Excuse me, my timer. The second is to take something out of the body. So therefore, the needles in Western medicine are designed to rip and tear flesh. Yep. Acupuncture needles, the exact opposite. They're designed to go in and elicit a response that is based on energy, with causing the least amount of disturbance to the physical structure. So the tip of an acupuncture needle is perfectly tapered to a point. I don't know if you can see this. This is an acupuncture needle. Oh, there we go. It's super, super, super thin. It's about a few strands of hair thick. There are different thicknesses, and an acupuncturist will choose a thickness of a needle based on what the result is that they are trying to get. So I have here a needle that is typically used to draw blood. This is what we would call a 19 gauge needle. If it was an emergency situation like an ER, they might use a much larger gauge needle like an 18, a 16 to get something into the body very, very quickly. Like if they're concerned about getting blood or fluids into somebody, they'll use a larger gauge than this. 19 is a very typical gauge for a blood test. So that is the one that I figure most of you would be familiar with. So what I've done is I've taken my acupuncture needles and I've easily got 3 of mine inside of one of these. 3 inside the space. Not even the space, it's the hole of the one that they normally use to draw your blood. So these are much, much more graceful, gentle, entirely different intention. The other thing you should know is that they are single-use disposable needles. So they come sealed in a sterile package. They're used on a patient and then they're disposed of. In this day and age, I don't know any of my colleagues that are using the old-fashioned needles, which needed to be autoclaved in order to be sterile. So that's a big thing that you need to understand about acupuncture.